We've had obviously a different fall. It's been a very productive fall since the guys got back. We've had one time where we had to kind of slow down and shut down a little bit for a few days. But other than that, our guys have done really well. I want to commend our players for doing this, their safe distancing, social distancing, and being safe and allowing us to get on the floor as much as we have. You know, we've been restricted to 4 hours a week. Basketball wise, they've played some pickup as well as 4 hours with strength and conditioning. As of tomorrow, we will go into 8 hours per week with basketball, along with the 4 hours of strength and conditioning. And then on October the 14th, which is back in the day, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was, the actual start of practice was on October the 15th. And then they changed the rules to 42 days before your first contest. You could practice 30 of those days. So now that's really kind of what it comes down to. They've moved the season back. The first game can be November 25th. So 42 days prior is October 14th. And, you know, we'll be full bore at that point. And I've enjoyed working with this group. A lot of new faces, but a lot of guys that are back as well that have all improved. So we feel really good about the work these young men put in during the pandemic and being at home for June and most of July. Their bodies have improved. Their games have improved. They've taken strides with their development. So it's exciting, and it's a lot of fun working with these young men. And, you know, we're ready. We're chomping at the bit, ready to get going.
Questions? Taylor.
Yeah, Coach, what's with as far as the newcomers go, is there anything kind of come to mind on something that has surprised you? I know you didn't get to see, some of these players play in person, so just watching film, have they done anything to surprise you, or it's been like a pleasant surprise so far this in practice?
Really, we felt really happy and pleased with the young men that we were able to secure in the spring, and they haven't disappointed. I mean, Alterique Gilbert, starting with him, a grad transfer from UConn, a McDonald's All-American, a legit point guard that gets where he wants to go, plays tenacious defense, and is a tremendous young man to work with. Really strong, quick, fast, with the ability to score and distribute. So, he was kind of the Pied Piper. He was the first commitment in the spring. And we knew we had to get some point guards, and to get a guy of his caliber to start with was great. Then the next guy was Craig Porter from Vincennes, a junior college player that won the national championship as a freshman with Coach Todd Franklin there in Hutchinson, Kansas. They were going back to try to defend their title when the season was abruptly ended due to the coronavirus. And he had a little strain of a calf muscle or something for a while, was out about 10 days, but is really a good player and does a lot of stuff to help his team win. And then Trevin Wade, Trey's younger brother, basically a bookend with Alterique Gilbert. They both look like high major running backs, and very strong, quick, fast, stocky, and athletic. And he's done a great job in the fall as well. So you've got a senior and two juniors to man the point. Obviously, Craig Porter at 6'3" can move over and play some off guard. The other newcomers would be Clarence Monzie Jackson, a freshman. He played 1 year at junior college, so he's got 3 years to play as a qualifier out of high school. A 6'6" multi-dimensional forward that probably plays as hard as anybody we've had, really competes, and is he's an energy giver. Everyone kind of feeds off of his tenacity and his energy, and that makes it fun to coach him and watch the impact that he has on his teammates. Then the three freshmen. Ricky Council was the first. He was maybe the best unsigned senior in North Carolina, a super duper athlete. Think Dexter Dennis, but maybe a little bigger walking in the door. That's the type of athlete he is. And, he's going to be a tremendous player at some point in his career, and he'll determine that. Jaden Seymour, 6'8", 6'9", forward, multi-dimensional, can play the 4 or the 3. Ricky can play the 2 or the 3. At 6'6", Jaden can dribble it. He can run. He can finish above the rim as all these freshmen can. The one thing that they have in common, two things: they're great kids, and number two, they're tremendous athletes. And Jaden was, had some high major offers, ACC offers, until he blew out his knee at the end of his junior season. So he missed the summer between his junior and senior year, as well as most of his senior year. He came back at the end, and every day he gets stronger and that knee becomes more stable. And then finally, Chauncey Jenkins, who I'm not putting this on him, but his game is kind of like Ja Morant. That's who he reminds you of. Now, he's obviously not Ja Morant, the rookie of the year in the NBA. I don't want to say that, but he has some characteristics that are very similar. He's long, he's extremely bouncy, and he's a highlight film waiting to happen in the open court. So all of them need to learn how to defend a little better and take care of the ball a little better and understand that, this is a different level of basketball, and they can't do the things quite as easily as they may have done in the past, because now other folks are just as athletic and just as strong. So they're going to have to outsmart them a little bit and maybe play a little harder. So those are the 7 newcomers.
Chris Lilly.
Yeah, with how everything ended last year and everything that's still going on, do you have more of an appreciation for the game and being able to see the guys and have those practices?
Yeah, it's just been a strange time for all of us, not just for basketball players, basketball coaches, but our country, our world with the pandemic and all of the social injustice, and then the wildfires and the hurricanes and tropical storms. It's just 2020 has been a rough time for many, many folks for many, many reasons. And, we had our conference tournament taken away, and more than likely our NCAA tournament taken away. But that's pales in comparison to what other people are struggling with, losing their jobs and losing their careers and losing family members and loved ones. So I just love how our guys have handled this. They're very conscious of the world around them and what's going on. They've made some really bold and strong statements about where they would like to see things move towards in our world. And they've also been very cognizant of the pandemic, and they've been diligent with their mask and their social distancing and not being in crowds and whatnot, because we've been very fortunate, knock on wood, to be able to, we're tested every other week, and we haven't had a positive test in a long, long time.
Braxton.
Hey,
Braxton
Coach.
on?
Yeah,
Yep.
yes.
Coach, just wanted to ask you, the inside game, year 1 to year 2 for Trey here in the program. We saw Jamie kind of make a big jump into his senior year. What have you seen out of Trey so far? And then Josephat Bilal as well. We'll be able to see him on the court this year. Redshirt last year. What have you seen out of his development so far?
Well, Trey Wade, first of all, like I said, he's one of the many new returnees that have taken their game to another level. He's cut his body up. He looks great. He looks so strong. He's obviously a great leaper off 2 feet and a good rebounder. He's shooting the ball well, but physically he just has just taken his game to another level. And now going into his senior year, knowing that the next stop is some level of pro basketball. He's a pro. He's going to play some level of pro basketball, whether that's $2,500 a month or $250,000 a month. He's going to play pro basketball after this season, and he's worked and he's improved his game. He's able to put it on the floor a little better. He just looks great. You asked about Josephat Bilal. Now, unfortunately for Josephat, he was playing great in the spring, and then he had a fatty tumor, if you will, taken out of his lower quad muscle and right above his knee. And then he had to go home because he had to France, he had some passport issues. So he had to go home. And, after his surgery, he was not able to rehab the way he would have been able to rehab with our training staff. So we haven't really seen him full speed yet. He's still gimping around a little bit, and that's unfortunate. We really needed him out here. He's the one guy that has been banged up, and he's making progress, but it's very slow progress. We actually thought he would be 100% over a month ago, if not a month and a half ago, but that's not the case. So it's up to him. He's been released by the doctors. There's no issues with his structural part of his knee. It's just a matter of him being able to play with a little pain if that's what he has. Other guys like Dexter Dennis, taking his game to another level, so confident, putting the ball on the floor. Tyson Etienne, I mean, his body is incredible in terms of his strength. He's bouncy. These guys are dunking it any way you want. I mean, they look great. Another newcomer. The returnees inside, other than Josephat. Morris Udeze, shooting the three ball now, putting it on the floor in great physical conditioning. And one of the guys that's improved the most from a physical standpoint is Isaiah Poorbear Chandler, not just his athleticism and being in wonderful shape, shooting the ball well, his academics. I mean, he's making all A's right now. It's just great to see these kids mature and figure it out. And, once you get all those things taken care of, your academics are solid. We don't have to worry about you academically. Now you can just focus on basketball and being the best player that he can become.
Back to Taylor Eldridge, and then over to Chris next.
Yeah, Coach. Brian mentioned that you probably won't be able to say much about the schedule, but I know a lot of fans are excited about potential non-conference games against Oklahoma State and Ole Miss, Missouri. Is there any kind of update you can give on those?
Since we lost UConn in the league, now we have 11 teams, and there's some decision-making going on the conference level as whether or not we should have 18 conference games like we've had in the past, or play a true round robin and play 20 conference games. And that's being decided right now. So until that's decided, we really don't know. We know that the season being pushed back from early November to late November, we're going to have some games and you can't play as many games. So that's going to cause us to have to cancel some of those games. But I got an email today that I forwarded on to Darren Boatwright, the athletic director, and just told him we need to talk and we need to discuss, our options, because a lot of things are going on in the scheduling front, but nothing has been decided is what I can tell you at this point, other than we're either going to play 18 or 20 conference games, and then the games that are not going to be affected by the date change, the start date moving back will obviously still be intact.
Just how important is it that you guys are able to play at least some non-conference games? It's just importance for the postseason implications and everything like that.
Well, what I would like to be able to do is play, we're losing our exhibition game. We're losing our private scrimmage. We're losing a couple of games at the very beginning, so where your 7 newcomers can learn your system and play a game that may not be like playing at Ole Miss early in the season, but those are the ones that are being taken away. So there will be no gimmies on our schedule at all. Every game will be a potential quad 1 or whatever you call that, quad 2 win. And we'll have to grow up very quickly.
Chris Arnold has a virtual hand up.
Yeah, no, that's right. Hey, Coach, can you guys hear me?
Yep, we hear you.
Okay, cool. My question is, and you were talking about the newcomers too. I know obviously you've had some turnover here in the past couple of years with graduations, people going pro and whatnot. Does the challenge every year still come with trying to get a bunch of people up to speed and used to the system and how you guys do things at Wichita State? Or does it get any easier over time when you've had to do this over the past couple of years, getting people acclimated to your system?
Every year you gotta teach guys how to play in your system. And, sometimes there's 1 or 2 guys, sometimes there's 5 or 6 guys, sometimes there's more. Every year, these guys are coming into a new system, a new program, a new terminology. Ours is not the most complicated in the world, but it's not the easiest either. So all these practice times we're utilizing to the utmost, and we're training these young men. They've really been good at listening and coming by and talking to us and wanting more. Tell me about this, and how can I be better at this? These are guys that want to be great players, and they want to win. And it's just been a really fun fall teaching them what we've been able to teach them. And I'm looking forward to the expanded time that we're going to get with them starting tomorrow.
Time for one or two more. Braxton, I think I saw you a second ago. And then Taylor, I guess, can close us out.
Hey, Coach, just wanted to get your thoughts on, obviously it's still way ahead of the game, but getting fans inside of Koch Arena this year. We've seen, the NBA obviously did virtual fans with the bubble. Some NFL teams are playing capacity. Just how important is that to get fans inside, and what do you think about that when it gets close to tip-off for you?
Well, I saw a little bit of the game with the Chiefs against the Chargers. I don't think they had any fans. And then last night, the Saints at Las Vegas, no fans. In these beautiful stadiums, $5 billion and no fans. So, that's one of the luxuries that we have, is a tremendous home court advantage. And it'll affect us more than most. I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of people that, if they let in 20, 25, 30% of the crowd, it's going to be a typical November, December home crowd for them. For us, it's going to be a big difference. And I just hate it for the fans. I hate it for our players, because there's nothing like playing in Koch Arena, and our players realize that. And, I don't know how they're going to do it. That's the athletic administration has to figure that out, but it can't be easy. It's not something that we want to do, but we think we're going to do the right thing for the health of our fans and our supporters, as well as the health of our team. And hopefully this will be short term, and we can get a vaccine here as soon as possible. And looks like we're gonna play basketball regardless of how many people will be in the stands. So it'll be a little different. Taylor, last question. You gotta hit that
Sorry.
button. There you
Coach,
go.
what have you seen of this team's chemistry so far? Your first impression of just how everyone's getting along. A lot of new guys, a lot of new faces.
It seems great to me, but it always seems great to me, to be honest. And that's what the guys say just about every year. But obviously, we know that we didn't have. Last year was the first year in my whole coaching career that our chemistry was bad, and no one really knew what to do, to how to fix it, and it just didn't. It was a bad mixture, if you will. This year, I've had multiple players, returners and new guys, say how much different this is and how much better it is. So I didn't see any problems last year at this time. So I just think they can talk the talk, but we got to walk the walk. We've got to support each other. We've got to pull for each other. There's 16 young men on this team, and they've all got to be pulling in the same direction. Whether you start or come off the bench, whether you play 32 minutes or 12 minutes. It's about Wichita State being the absolute best that they can be. And, I love the chemistry so far, and I think that it will continue because, again, they're great young men. But when adversity hits, that's when you start to figure out what kind of chemistry you've got. And everybody goes through some type of adversity, and we will certainly go through our share of adversity. But I like the makeup of this team. We don't have 10 underclassmen, 5 freshmen, 5 sophomores like last year. We have it a little more well-balanced, and we've got a lot of upperclassmen that have some leadership ability as opposed to just Jamie last year. And so hopefully we can continue with the good vibes that we have going on.